They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
Good morning. Welcome back to Crazy Joe's Confession. Welcome my confession stand. Welcome back to Crazy Joe's Confession Stand. Bless you, Father. You have sinned. Confess to me. Confess to Crazy Joe. Say 3 Hail Marys and 2 Our Fathers. No, I don't know. That was a slip up. I didn't mean to say confession stand. Crazy Joe's concession stand. Welcome back to Crazy Joe's Concession Stand. I want to do a video where we talk about The Flash. The Flash has fallen out of the top 5 at the box office. It is not doing well at the box office. No, that's okay. That's okay that's not doing well at the box office, because ultimately it doesn't matter. I've seen people out there talking about analyzing the box office for the Flash, left, forward, and backwards, and it doesn't matter. The box office on the Flash is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is, the Flash was an inherited film. It was a film that James Gunn and Peter Safran inherited from a prior regime, and it was a problematic film because it had a star who was in the news for all the wrong reasons last year. It was always a film that was going to have an uphill battle. It did have one thing going for it, though, and that was it was fracking great. And a lot of people were like, I wonder why they didn't write that off. They wrote off Batgirl for a tax write-off. I wonder why they didn't write off The Flash. Well, the reason was because they knew they were sitting on one of the best superhero movies ever made. If we were to make a list of the top 10 superhero movies of all time, The Flash goes on that list. It is a perfect film. So it would have been a crime, quite frankly, to lock that film away and not let people see it. And James Gunn knew that. Peter Safran knew that. And fortunately, they got that film out to the masses where it belonged. But it was always going to have a struggle because of the Ezra Miller situation. Also, there's this faulty notion. I think it is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I really think it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But I've heard it a lot. And the last 4 DC movies that are coming out before the reboot, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, which was excellent, by the way. Shazam, Fury of the Gods, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman 2. Those are the last 4 before the James Gunn reboot. After the reboot was announced, I heard people say, well, I don't have to see those movies because they don't count anymore. They don't count anymore, so there's no need to see them. I'm sorry, that's dumb. Like, that is like one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Because, and I've said this before, it basically says to me that you don't care about movies. You don't care about movies, you don't care about stories. All you care about is what's the next thing. Because if you're not going to watch the movie that's right in front of you, if you're not going to bother watching the movie that's right here, right now in front of you, simply because it's not going to lead into a sequel, then you're telling me all you care about is the sequel. You only care about what comes next. You don't care about this. You don't care about the thing that's here in the present. The 30-second stinger at the end of the credits is really the only reason you're there. That's what that says to me. Because every one of these movies, The Flash, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, they all tell a self-contained story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. You go in, you get a complete story. You walk out, you have had a complete story told to you. But people don't care about the story being told to them. They're saying, oh wait, it's not going to continue into another story? Pass. Pass. This is like in 1982, if people came out and said, oh man, Steven Spielberg just put this great movie out. It's called E.T. You got to check it out. It's really good. Is there going to be an E.T. 2? No, probably not. It's a standalone movie. I mean, no. There's no future in it. It's a pointless movie. Oh man, you got to check out this movie, Goodfellas. It's really good. One of Scorsese's. Is there going to be a Goodfellas 2? No. No, no interest. No interest. There's no future in it, so what's the point? That's the attitude. So it's a stupid comment, quite frankly. But it's one that a lot of people, for some God unknown reason, have. So all these DC movies are kind of going to struggle because there's no continuation, supposedly. So they're like, oh, I don't go see them. So therefore, the box office on this movie is really irrelevant. it really is irrelevant because James Gunn's coming in and James Gunn's going to do what James Gunn's going to do. And it was like that if The Flash was a hit. It's like that if The Flash is a failure. So the box office on this movie doesn't matter. What matters is we got the movie. The movie was made. They can't take that away from us. We've got one of the best superhero movies of all time, and it's going to come home. It's going to be on 4K, Blu-ray. It's going to go on my shelf, and I'm going to be able to enjoy that movie whenever I want, and it's not going to matter if that movie was a massive hit or a massive failure. Can't take it away from me. I got it. Just like the Masters of the Universe movie with Dolph Lundgren, one of my all-time favorite movies. Box office bomb. Can't take it away from me. I can watch it whenever I want, and I love that movie. And there you go. So the box office on The Flash is irrelevant. But I wanted to talk, and I'm like 5 minutes in. I haven't even said what I sat down here to say. We're on tangents today, man. What I wanted to talk about was why The Flash is a better multiverse movie than Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is burning up the box office. On the other hand, whereas The Flash is kind of a box office failure, Across the Spider-Verse is a huge hit. And I liked Across the Spider-Verse. I liked it a lot. I'm going to buy that on 4K when it comes out. I enjoy that movie. That gets a positive review from me. But it's also a real step down from Into the Spider-Verse. The first Spider-Verse movie, Into the Spider-Verse, was such a better movie than Across the Spider-Verse because it dealt with multiverses. It dealt with multiple iterations of Spider-Man. But it was a small group. You had Spider-Man Noir, you had Peter B. Parker, you had Spider-Gwen, you had Spider-Ham. Small little group. And it wasn't overwhelming. This second one's like, we're going to open up the Spider-Verse wide. You're going to get all these different characters from across the Spider-Verse. And suddenly it just was like a slog. It's fun. I enjoyed the movie, like I said, but it's almost too fast-paced, and you're just getting one Spider-Man after another, after another, after another. And frankly, it's exhausting. Like, I felt exhausted watching Across the Spider-Verse, and it's just like, oh my God, this is tiring. And it lacked the intimacy of the small group of like 5 Spider-Men that we had Into the Spider-Verse. And I'm just like, okay, you're throwing hundreds of Spider-Men at me, but with the exception of like Spider-Man 2099, we're really not getting to know any of these Spider-Men. It's just like fan service cameos, like cameo. And I remember like halfway through the movie, I'm just like, this is exhausting. And this is from a guy who enjoyed the movie. I would give Into the Spider-Verse like 5 out of 5 stars. I would give Across the Spider-Verse like 3.5, which is a good score. It's a solid score. It's not a bad score, but it's just such a step down from that first movie. And the multiverse, like I said, feels like fan service. Like, how many different Spider-Men can we stick in here? Meanwhile, you got The Flash. And The Flash is also a multiverse story. But it handles it so much better than Across the Spider-Verse because there are multiple cameos from other iterations of the DC Universe. I don't want to give away spoilers, but my God, everyone's been spoiling this movie left and right. If you haven't seen the movie yet, you probably have already had it spoiled from you by someone on Twitter. So fair warning, you may get spoiled by The Flash by watching this video. If you want to bail now, I don't blame you. But we are going to talk a little bit about spoilers in The Flash. But towards the end of The Flash, and here come the spoilers, by the way. Towards the end of The Flash, we get to a scene where one of the Barrys, because there's 2 Barrys, this Barry, the Barry in the Batman suit, I love that Batman suit, by the way. Barry in the Batman suit keeps trying to change the timeline. And the prime Barry, the Barry that we know from Justice League, this Barry, he's telling this Barry, you gotta stop. And he can't stop. He just can't stop trying to change the timeline. And it creates a crisis where the multiverse starts to break down. And for a minute, maybe not even a minute, I didn't time it. I've seen the movie 4 times. I didn't time it. But for about a minute, we get cameos peering in through the multiverse of other versions of Superman and Batman that we've met before. We see the Jay Garrick Flash. We see George Reeves as Superman. We see Christopher Reeve as Superman. We see Helen Slater as Supergirl. We see Nicolas Cage as Superman. We see Adam West as Batman. It's a very brief moment. And it's there just to show you what's happening to the multiverse. It's there to show you that this multiverse is breaking down, and it's as a result of what Batman Barry is doing. I call him Batman Barry. For those who didn't see, this version of Barry retrofits one of Michael Keaton's old costumes. So you can see he cut the ears off. It's a really cool thing. If you love Michael Keaton's Batman, it's a total geek out moment. But Batman suit Barry is causing the multiverse to break down by not being able to accept that some things in time can't be changed. And he keeps trying to change time, and it's breaking down the multiverse. So we get a glimpse of these other versions of the DC heroes from alternate Earths. And it's brief, and it's important to the story. Like, it's not just fan service, like, look who I saw. It actually serves a purpose because you're showing the multiverse breaking down. So it serves a purpose for being there. But you just get this brief glimpse at these other Superman and Batman that we knew for just about a minute. None of them have any dialogue. That's not true. Batman says something. Batman says something about the Joker because it's archival footage and you hear Adam West talking. But Christopher Reeve doesn't say anything. Nicolas Cage doesn't say anything. They just kind of like look. They peer through the multiverse. And it's a wonderful little moment because it's important to the story. And it's brief. And it's not distracting. It's just a moment. It's just a moment in the movie. Whereas Spider-Man just keeps beating your head over one Spider-Man cameo after another, after another, after another. It's just this moment that lasts about a minute, then it's over. And it's just, sometimes less is more. Sometimes less is more. And it just works better. It's not overwhelming. It's not exhausting. I've seen the movie 4 times. It's a great little moment. And it's a little bit of fan service, but it doesn't feel as fan servicey as the scene in all the different Spider-Man you see in Spider-Man, because it's not beating you over the head with it. It's just these characters glancing out through the multiverse. It's a great scene. I'll tell you something else. The Flash handles the return of an existing superhero better than Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home brings in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield late in the film. And they're there for fan service. Again, they're there for fan. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And I like Spider-Man No Way Home quite a bit. So them being there was a lot of fun. But did they need to be there? Would the story have worked without them being there? Yeah, I think you could have had just Tom Holland, Spider-Man, fight the villain, send them back to their universe. You didn't need to bring in other versions of Spider-Man. It worked. Don't get me wrong, it worked. But then you have Michael Keaton coming back in The Flash. And the Flashpoint storyline, one of the pillars of the Flashpoint storyline is that Barry changes the timeline and Batman changes, and it's not his Batman anymore. And in the comic book, it was Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's father. In this new timeline that Barry creates, Bruce Wayne did not become Batman, his father did. So the storyline requires that Barry have an encounter with an alternate version of Batman. Didn't have to be Michael Keaton. Didn't have to be a Batman we've ever seen before. All it needed to be was another version of Batman. That's all I need. It could have been a brand new actor that we've never seen before as Batman. Could have been Thomas Wayne. Could have been Terry McGinnis. Could have been anything. It just needed to be that Barry found the timeline changed and the Batman he now encounters is not his Batman. That's all it needed to be. But that gave them a moment where they were ripe to bring back an existing actor. And they brought back Michael Keaton, who was the Batman of an entire generation, my entire generation. So you got to stick a little bit of nostalgia, a little bit of fan service into a story that required an alternate version of Batman to be told. But it didn't necessarily have to be this Batman. I keep saying it was nostalgia done right. This is a couple of the reasons, and there are many reasons. It's a heartfelt story. It's a heartfelt story about letting go of the past, learning what you can change, learning what you can't change. It's a film about letting go. And I'm always a sucker for time travel movies anyway. But I keep saying it's a time travel story. It's a story with heart. It's a story with a lot of humor. And it's a story that does nostalgia the right way. And this is why I think The Flash is not only the best movie in theaters right now, but one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. And I tip my hat to Andy Muschietti and for making this movie, and Christina Hodson for writing this movie. And again, it doesn't need to be a box office success because the movie exists. We got it, whether it's a hit or not. And the greatness of the film was recognized by James Gunn, the head of the studio, because Andy Muschietti is going to make Batman Brave and the Bold now. So the talent behind this film was given their due, and we're going to get to see them continue to make great movies going forward, starting with Batman Brave and the Bold. And that's why the box office on The Flash doesn't matter, but why the movie itself does matter. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. If you haven't seen The Flash, go check it out. It is the best film playing right now, and I want to see it a fifth time, quite frankly. Everybody, keep wearing those pajamas.
Keep wearing those pajamas with the plastic feet. Keep wearing those pajamas. Tell everyone you meet. Keep wearing those pajamas with the back door flap. Keep wearing those pajamas. Don't open, it's a trap. Oh no, it's a trap. Some people call them PJs, some people call them jammies. They can come embroidered with big money and no whammies. They can have 100 tiny commander and damas, but no matter how they look, just keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep wearing those pajamas. And now we're having fun. Keep wearing those pajamas. And now the song is done.